With the current suicide rates within Namibia, so according to the World Health Organization, Namibia has one of the highest suicide rates within the world. And if we look back at 2019, the suicide rate was estimated at 3 per 100,000 people. So men account for approximately 80% of the suicides in the country and a significantly higher proportion than women. And we've seen that 2 weekends ago, there was a high number of suicide cases that were reported within the country as well.
Yeah. And what are some of the leading causes or triggers of suicide in men in Namibia?
Some of the most common triggers of suicide within Namibia amongst men would include economic stress, which has to do with finances and the high unemployment rate within the country. We also look at other elements such as relationship issues. Men are also known for abusing substances, and there's also a lot of cultural stigma around seeking for help that can lead to possible triggers when it comes to men and suicide within our country.
Are there specific age groups of men that are more vulnerable to suicide, and if so, why?
Well, the most vulnerable groups that we could possibly look at would be men aged between 20 and 40 years old. And this would be attributed to things such as pressures related to their career. There's a lot of family responsibilities during this time as well, trying to find their feet. And then there's also a lot of societal expectations that come in place. So with this age group, it's also at higher risk of mental health issues due to limited coping resources that they possibly have. And we're also looking at lack of emotional support, them feeling like they're not being understood and that they don't really have coping or support systems in place.
And Shamyn, how do societal norms and cultural expectations of masculinity impacts men's mental health and their willingness to seek help?
Well, within Namibia, as in many African societies, traditional views of masculinity, it emphasizes, that self-reliance, that emotional restraint where they can't really show their emotions, where they're not allowed to show their emotions, and then the suppression of vulnerability as well. So with this societal pressure, it really discourages our men from seeking mental health support. And this leads to a lot of things, such as emotional isolation and untreated mental health conditions. And with these factors, they can increase the risk of suicide amongst our men.
Hmm. And how accessible are Lifeline Childline services, particularly in rural or underserved areas?
So we have our toll-free helplines, which is 116 Child Helpline and 106 GBV Helpline. So with these helplines, they are accessible on a national level, meaning regardless of where the person finds themselves within the country, be it in a rural area, be it in an urban area, they can still make use of our services as long as they have network on their phones. Because the helplines are toll-free, meaning they don't require any airtime. And then we also have very good referral systems in place whereby we work with stakeholders from the regions, be it social workers, psychologists, or the police, to whom we refer these cases that are within rural areas. So I would say that our services are quite accessible, and we do ensure that, where there's face-to-face intervention required, we refer to the necessary agencies.
Yeah. Does Lifeline Childline Namibia have any programs or campaigns specifically targeted towards men to encourage them to seek help?
Yes, we definitely have programs in place because at the end of the day, we would also like to bring the men and the male children on par with, the level at which the female or the girls are at.
Mm-hmm.
So we are having ongoing efforts to address mental health amongst men. So currently we have a program in place that targets young men and boys through community awareness sessions that mostly focus on suicide prevention and unpacking cultural stigma that's in relation to help-seeking behavior amongst men. We have the Men Care program in place, which solely focuses on men can be better supportive partners and fathers being present within the lives of their children. We have the Men Engage, which is a network of various organizations that look at issues affecting men and boys. And then we also have a program whereby we work with traditional and religious leaders to address men and relate it from, root level within the culture, within the society, because we believe that you need to start at the root level in order to understand what is it that our men are really going through and how do we then tackle these issues that they're dealing with.
Yeah. And what are some of the warning signs families and friends should look out for to identify men at risk of suicide?
Well, when we look at the warning signs, most of the common signs would include, or men that are at risk of suicide would include withdrawing from social interactions. Sometimes you'd find that there's drastic mood changes or there's sudden reckless behavior. They don't care about what they do anymore. We also see that, some of the other signs would include substance abuse or talking about feeling hopeless or as if they are being a burden. And one of the most common ones also to look out for is when they start giving away their prized possessions or when they constantly speak about death and dying. So family and friends should really remain vigilant for these behaviors. And in as much as we think that, the person might be joking or they are doing it again or giving threats again, sometimes we really need to look into these things and try and find the appropriate help for our family members to ensure they are assisted.
And just finally, Shamyn, what future plans does Lifeline Childline Namibia have to address the unique challenges men face when dealing with mental health issues?
With our organization, we plan to expand our outreach program. We are particularly targeting rural and undeserved populations as well. So this includes things such as increasing our awareness raising strategies, improving accessibility of services, and then also developing tailor-made programs for the unique needs of men, and then addressing both mental health and social factors contributing to suicide risk. So we do have quite a few things within the pipeline that we look forward to implementing during the course of the year. And we really do hope that, the work that we do will make an impact out there within someone's life. What I always like to remind people is that, in as much as we take care of our physical health, we really need to try and put in the same effort when it comes to our mental health. Sometimes people feel like, what am I going to do talking to a counselor or psychologist or social worker? How will that better my situation? But please do reach out for services. You might just go to the right place and receive the appropriate help that you need or the appropriate referral that you need that would help you with the current situation that you're facing. So you're not alone. There is help available out there. We are open every day, Monday to Sunday, regardless of if it's a public holiday or not. So we are readily here waiting for you to reach out for services.